The next couple of weeks are going to be tumultuous for the United Nations. There'll be as much coverage as for the papal visit. First, it's the 70th anniversary of the UN, so there'll be a positive cacophony of rhetorical guff. Second, the President of the United States, President Obama, is holding a peacekeeping summit, ostensibly to bring in more money and more troops, but they're going to have to deal with sexual exploitation and abuse committed by peacekeepers in peacekeeping operations. Third, there's going to be a new agenda for the world. Sustainable Development Goals, it's called. 17 goals to govern the next 15 years, replacing the 8 goals of the Millennium Development Goals of the last 15 years. You'll notice the goals increase exponentially, as do the speeches. And talking about the speeches, fourth, it's the opening of the General Assembly. So there'll be a massive proliferation of heads of state and heads of nations generally who all will want to speak. And they will undoubtedly talk about the Syrian refugees, moaning and groaning and expressing dismay, but ultimately we will have no solution. And finally, there will be much discussion of climate change leading to the Paris Conference of Climate Change in December of this year. But there are 2 things that must happen in order to allow the United Nations to continue to perform a singular role in the future. And the first is the recomposition of the Security Council. You cannot have 5 permanent members with a veto who emerged from the Second World War, the United States and Russia, China, the United Kingdom and France, and continue to exclude India and Germany and Japan and Brazil and Indonesia and Argentina and South Africa. It's just not tenable. And the reform will have to start in the next session. And finally, we desperately need a new Secretary General who will emerge at the beginning of 2017. Ban Ki-moon may be an entirely decent human being, but he is extraordinarily ineffective. Everybody knows it. No one will say it. And the countries, as they are choosing the next Secretary General, must choose a woman who is chosen on strength and merit and not on geography. And then there is a real chance for the United Nations in the future. It'll be the first woman Secretary General ever. Come to think of it, that wasn't last week. That's next week. But I'm still Stephen Lewis.